Hey everyone, it's Miranda and Jesus.
What's good, guys? Thanks for tuning in to the Mimi and Weezus show. I want to tell you guys that we really appreciate everyone that tuned into our first two episodes.
We really appreciate your support.
Miranda, did I ever tell you about my paranormal experience that I had when I was living with a roommate in Arizona?
Mm-mm, you
Oh,
didn't.
it was terrible. It was more than once. The first time it happened it was like midday. I was taking a shower, and then it sounded like someone was trying to open the door. And
Like the knob
then,
was wiggling.
yeah, the knob was wiggling. And then I was taking a shower and then I was looking at it, right? It just was like, it was jiggling, but like I locked the door because my roommate is a man. So I didn't want to, like, obviously have anyone walk in. And all of a sudden, again, like it stops. And then I'm like, hey, Ian, I'm in here. And then two little kids, like, started laughing, like, and I immediately, like, soap in my hair, still all wet. I jump, open the door, and then there was nothing there. There's nothing there.
That is creepy, dude. Did you open the door naked?
Yeah, I was
What if
naked.
there was kids there? What if like little kids had broken in and you swung the door open and
Oh,
they were like,
they're
"Hi."
they were gonna get scared either or, because why are they in my apartment? You know?
Dude, that's
And s-
super creepy though.
and then another occasion, it was, let's just say, like a couple days after this, I had my Xbox One set up in the living room, and we had a, what are they called, the chairs that are beds,
A
but
futon.
a futon, yeah, a futon couch. We had one of those, and I was just playing, and then we had like, it was like a bag of cereal. It was like the tostada chip bags, and then a couple of like fruits, like bananas and stuff.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, it looked like someone had pulled the bag of cereal, like dragged it down, and it just like spilled all over the floor. And then at that moment, I was like, oh, I didn't hear it because I was into my game.
Yeah.
But then I heard the tostada bag fall, and then it sounded like someone was stepping on the chips.
That is
Like, I mean, on the
creepy.
chips, on the cereal that was on the floor. And then I was like, oh, hell no. So I literally, I got out. I remember I just ran out of the apartment. I was like, nah, we ain't dealing with this. Coming back later.
Dude, that's too much. That kind of shit, like, it really freaks me out. So there was I had an experience like that when I was younger. I don't want to say like little, but so I always tell my dad and my stepmom. I always, like, anytime, even now as an adult, like when I go over there, I always tell them I don't want to sleep in my room. Like, it's haunted, I swear. And they always tell me it's not. But there was this one time. Okay, so there's like multiple weird things that happen. So the first time that it ever happened, like, you remember back in the day when you would legally download music on LimeWire?
Yes.
Okay, so they had the computer set up in my room, and I would like get on there and like download all my stuff from my iPod that I was gonna transfer over. Um, and so I remember I was like downloading music, and I was like allowed, we had it on the computer, wasn't doing anything wrong, and I was typing in songs, probably like Black Eyed Peas, honestly, like I was in that phase. So I'm looking at songs, like having the time of my life, listening to stuff, and I like, heard someone walk in the room, footsteps, and you know how you can like feel people behind you almost, like feel like the warmth and just like the presence of someone like breathing. I don't know, everything. So I like felt
Yes.
one. I assumed it was my dad or Madeline, and then I just like felt like a type of thing, like you hear in scary movies, like that weird like breathing that you hear like go between the speakers, and it like did that. So I turned to be like, "What are you doing?" And no one was there. And it was the creepiest thing that's ever happened to me in my life. And I was like, oh, heck no. I remember I exited out of like LimeWire and I went to the living room and I was super freaked out because I had no idea what happened, but I could feel it. And
Did
I
you ever
wasn't,
tell your dad or your mom about it?
I remember, I don't remember if I told them exactly what happened, but I kept telling them, like, I'm scared in my room, like, I'm scared. But it wasn't, I mean, like, I never had anything hurt me in there, like paranormal, weird stuff like the covers being pulled off or anything. But we also had this light. It was a lamp. And I don't even know if they make these lamps anymore, but they had the little knob and you could twist them to like dim and brighten
Oh
the
yeah,
light.
yeah, the old school ones.
Yeah, so we had one of those and it was a standing lamp. And I never wanted to sleep in the dark after that. Like I always had a hard time when I was little sleeping in the dark for some reason. And like or even sleeping alone in my room. I don't know if something really freaked me out when I was young or something that made me that way or if I just was. And so I had that lamp in there, and they got it for me intentionally so that I could, not sleep in the brightest, with 10 lights on, but I could at least have something. So I would put it kind of like on a dim setting, and I would get into bed, and it would continue to go off. Like it would just slowly turn itself off all the time. And I was like,
Oh,
Even the last time I slept there as a grown up, like a grown adult, I set up an air mattress in the downstairs room and I slept there. It freaks me out, like still to this day. I am
like
like,
you kind of think like the spirit's like, this is my room.
exactly. Well, other people have slept in there. Like other people sleep in there. No one has had the bad experience, and it's not even really like an evil type of like feeling experience. You know what I mean? Like I'm just more scared because I just don't like seeing that stuff, or like even if I knew like oh it was just my grandma or something like that would still freak me out a lot. I wouldn't like it at all. Like I would not enjoy the experience. I just that kind of stuff freaks me out. And so I never felt like I was in danger. I was just really afraid of the whole experience in general. And it could have literally, the light thing could just be the light was broken. So it just dimmed. But if you turned it all the way up or during the day, that wouldn't happen. It would only happen when I was trying to go to bed at night. I would like turn it up and it would just slowly dim down. And I couldn't see the knob turning or anything. It would just, the light would dim off and then I would just run and flip it back on.
I had similar experiences like at my house. There's two occasions, no, like three occasions that I really remember. And I remember the first one happened when I was around 11, and it was when my nephew was just born. So there was like bicycles, there was toys everywhere, and I used to watch TV in the living room because the living room was the only TV that had like cable. So I would stay up watching Cartoon Network, Nickelodeon, all
Yeah.
the all the classics. And I never had the lights off because, like you, I was afraid of the dark. Never, never. So I look back and then I just see like on the bike, it was a kid just paddling towards me, right?
Yeah.
But it was like a quick, like I looked over and I stopped. It was like maybe a second or two, and I didn't process it at first, and then I kept on looking at the cartoon, and then I took the look back, like I
Like,
looked
wait, what
back,
did I just see?
and here's the kicker though, the bike was still pedaling, and I don't know, there was something always in me to just like be like, I stopped, turned off the TV, I'm like, I went to my room, closed the door, and cover yourself with your sheets, and you go to bed. Don't think about it.
Yep, don't even investigate that. Like, um, there was another time. Speaking of the bike, it brought up a memory. So way back in the day, I was 16 or 17 is when I first moved out. Um, my boyfriend and I at the time we had gotten this tiny little studio apartment. We were both going through like all kinds of stuff at home, so we just were like, let's get out. We'll just get this tiny little studio apartment, right? So we get
Yeah.
this. We lived. These people had a duplex, and instead of having the second floor, like just renting out a whole side of their duplex, they took the second floor from that second half of the duplex and like put a wall up and built their house into, a bigger space and then rented that lower level of the duplex and made it into like a big studio. It had a full kitchen, full bathroom, two beds, but it was just one giant room. It had a backyard and stuff.
Pictures.
It was nice. But my boyfriend at the time did like a lot of BMX biking. And so he had a really expensive bike. And so he would bring it inside. We kept it inside. We did not leave it outside. And we had just adopted this dog named Lucy from the animal shelter. And it was my day off of work. I remember vividly. This was the first time I ever watched the whole series of Friends because
Yeah.
I wanted to watch it. And back then you had to still buy stuff, from Netflix, or they would send you the DVDs in the mail. You couldn't like stream it online.
Oh
And
yeah, yeah.
so I wanted to watch Friends. So his mom had actually given me a big stack of the Friends DVDs, like the season series. It was cool. So, anyways, I'm
Oh
watching
yeah, I
those.
like those thick season 1, season 2
Yeah,
things.
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. So she
I
had given me
remember
those.
those.
and I'm watching Friends, like laughing and I'm sitting like on the bed, and I heard a noise in the kitchen, and so like me and Lucy both looked, like the dog looked, and she's like, and she started growling, and I was like, oh heck no, mm. And then the TV turned off, and so then I like sat there, and I'm like, maybe I laid on the remote. I turned the TV back on, and it was just static, nothing would come back on, and I'm like, oh no, so I turned it off, and I'm like, we got to get out of here, and then the bike fell over. His BMX bike just fell over, and I was like, I am out of here. I didn't even have shoes on. I grabbed my keys and my phone because they were right by the door. I took her with no leash, and we just went over to my mom's house. And I was like, and nothing creepy ever happened to me in that apartment again. But there was some weird thing that day. And I remember when the dog was freaked out, like her hackles were all raised. She was all freaked out. And I'm like, nope, we are not staying here. We just left. And like even now as an adult, in my house, I have nightlights in the hallway. I try not to think about scary stuff because occasionally, like if I watch something creepy or read a creepy article or something, I will get nervous that night, and I'm thinking to myself like, oh no, what if I sat up and like there was someone standing in the doorway, and I'm like, why would I think that? Why would I do that? And then I have to turn the light on, and I'm a grown adult, like I'm almost 30 years old, and I'll be like,
It's
tonight.
like your brain tricks you into like a false like security,
Mhm.
and then it's like, okay, now that you think you're safe, I'm gonna trick you, and then it's like you see that rack over there, you've never put anything on it, you never give it any thought, but look at it now, it's a ghost. So you're like,
Yeah, it's a ghost.
"Ah."
Exactly. They're like, it's a man, and he's gonna murder you. And that's what I think sometimes. I'm like, okay. And I'll try to keep my eyes closed. I'm like, don't even open your eyes. Don't even look over there because you're gonna get creeped out. Especially because I can't see without my glasses, So if my glasses aren't on, then I'm just seeing shadows, and I'm like, who is this? Like, what's going on? And then I'll flip the light on, and it's just something totally explainable. But my brain does start to play tricks on me, and then all those creepy experiences don't help because then you think of
Oh,
it. I hear maybe that's why I have so many animals because I can use them as an excuse. If I hear something creepy, I'm like, it's the cat. It's the cat.
you said that like your brain tricks you, but like one of the second experience I had was maybe when I was like 13, 14, because this memory I remember it like so vividly. So in the house I live in, it's like a 4-bedroom house, and my older brother and my older sister used to live here, and now I just live here with my parents and my older sister and my younger sister, I mean. And I sleep in the room where my older brother used to stay, and my sister sleeps in the room where my older sister used to stay. But I used to sleep in the room that was in front of the bathroom, which is, I would say, like directly across, or like a room, yeah, directly across from my brother's room. So I would go out. I remember I'd wake up, go to the restroom, and it was more than once. It looked like, it looked like a really tall lady,
Ugh.
and her hair was just like super long, like it was like down to like past her back. And I remember she would stand back, like her hands would like be pointing, like if she was looking directly at where my brother was sleeping.
I have
and
the
and her
chills,
nails,
bro.
like I remember the nails, like they were long and black,
That's scary.
and it was always just a glass, like that I would look over like that. But I just remember that description so vividly, and it happened maybe like 3 or 4 more times, and then on the third time, I looked too long at her, and she just like
She
slowly
slowly
tilted her
turned.
she slowly tilted her head and smiled.
No, dude.
Oh my god, I would sleep with a cross, and I remember I just grabbed the cross, and then she just like was still smiling, and she just like went back to looking.
That is so scary. Did you ever tell your brother about it
No,
or
no, but
anyone?
I did tell my mom, and my mom, you know, got into it's like it went deeper than what I would see.
Yeah, definitely. Dude, that is so scary. I legit, like, you can't see it in the camera, but I have the goosies, dude. I have the chills. I'm scared. And now I have to try to sleep without the lights on today. Um, But that's the kind of stuff that would freak me out. And it reminds me of, you've had sleep paralysis. We've talked about it
Oh, yes.
before, right? So I know they say it's not real and it's just your brain like making stuff up and you're still half asleep, but it seems real when it's happening to you and it's scary. So I've had it 3 times that I remember. One was way back before I even moved to Arizona. And this is the worst part, is that I remember the dogs were in bed with me. I had Maya, my husky, and then Molly, baby Molly. She was only like 4 months old and she was sleeping on the bed.
Yeah.
And I remember like I flipped over and looked at the door that like went down our long hallway that my roommate and I had at the time. And she was down the hall, and she always slept with her door open so that the cats could go in and out of her room. I always slept with mine closed so that the dogs wouldn't go and jump on her bed and stuff. And so I
Yes.
had my door closed. And I remember I just opened my eyes and I saw like a really tall, like just black figure. It just looked like a person, but really tall and thin. And I just looked at it, and then I tried to scream like, "Who are you?" or "Help," whatever I was going to scream, and I couldn't. And then I could see it getting closer, and it didn't have a face or anything like that. It was just a dark shadow. And
But you could
then
tell it was staring at you, right?
yeah, it was walking towards me, and then I swear I could feel it like on the bed, like moving, like sitting and like scooting towards me. And then I remember fighting as hard as I could to just scream. And then finally I sat up, and it was like I was paralyzed. I literally couldn't move. And then I sat up and like screamed really loud, and I had a lamp next to my bed and I flipped it on, like there was just nothing there. And the dogs were acting completely normal. No one was awake. They were just chilling. So then I'm like, okay, that was sleep paralysis. And then it happened again at the old house in Avondale where we all met. Um, Kind of like the same thing, but it didn't get as intense. I just saw, the shadow and couldn't move to scream or whatever. But here at this house that I'm at now was the scary, like it wasn't too long ago, it was within the last 6 months. Um, and that one was creepy because you know how I mentioned, looking down the hallway and imagining like if someone were to be there, what would I do at this point?
Yeah.
So same thing. I looked at the hallway and I saw the black figure, and it was weird because I knew in my mind I kept saying like it's sleep paralysis. It's sleep paralysis. You're fine. Like it was weird because I was conscious. You know what I mean? It wasn't like I was in a dream state where I thought, oh yeah, like there's a ghost in my room or a demon or something. I kept telling myself it's sleep paralysis. You're fine because I couldn't move, and it's almost like you can't breathe. Like I remember trying to like scream and being like, like, and you can't get any like even breath at that point.
Yeah, I totally understand that because my experience it happened for me. It happened twice. It happened once before I moved to Arizona in back in the day, and then again at the Avondale house with Brandon and them.
Yeah.
The first time it was, I remember I was just in my bed, and then I remember I like moved my hand, and then or I moved my hand to cover my face. I couldn't move my hand after that. I was like, something's wrong. And then I remember opening my eyes, and it was just like a face, like a face. Like I couldn't see her eyes or anything, but like I could tell it's someone's like face right here,
Yeah.
and they were just like breathing, like.
Yeah, that's the same experience I've had.
And
Is it
then I felt it like the warmth on my cheek, right? And then I was like, this isn't normal. I remember I was like, I was like, wait. And then it took me a minute to realize that someone was breathing on my face. And like you, I started to get up. Like, I was like, get up, like, get up. And my body
and you
wouldn't
just
react.
can't.
It wouldn't react. And then I remember, I think my foot hit the wall, and that was enough to wake me up.
Yeah. And that's the
And there was
sorry.
not, like you said, there was nothing there. Like my cheek was the same cold as the other side. Like your
Yeah.
brain just tricks you.
Yeah, well, and this last time that it happened here at my house, like the recent one, um I remember that's the time that I was telling you like I knew I was having sleep paralysis. Like I kept telling myself it's fake, and I kept saying wake up, get up, and I was trying so hard to move and I couldn't. And I had Molly and Cooper sleeping with me that night, and they were in the bed. And I must have been like, my heart must have been racing or something, because when the dogs weren't like, Molly and Cooper would start barking like crazy if someone was or something was in the house. Like they don't deal with any, like, even a tap from a bird on the wall sets them all off. So I'm like, I sit up and I'm like, and the dogs are, when I like get up, they're like licking me and trying to wake me up and stuff. So I must have been like, my heart must have been going crazy. I must have been breathing really hard or something, because they were like, "You good, bro?" As soon as I sat up, which all the other times that I've had it, like the animals didn't react at all.
Yeah.
And I haven't had anything else weird like that happen. I mean, I knew that one was sleep paralysis because I remember when I got up, I like sat up and was like, "Oh, like I'm awake," and it felt different. If that makes sense, it's not like a real life experience where you're like, I'm
It,
walking
it
down the
it
hall."
feels like you're more mentally drained than your body's drained, because you feel like your head is tired, but your body's like, get up, get off the bed.
Exactly.
And for me, the second time, it was more like that, because Arizona, Phoenix, Arizona, hot, right? Hot in the summer.
Mhm.
Uh, and for me, I can only sleep if I'm covered in the sheets. So I would have to, sleep with 3 fans on plus the AC, and then use a blanket, like the thinnest blanket.
Yeah.
And during this time, it was not like I didn't see anything, but it was more like I knew I was like, my body, I knew I was like in sleep paralysis, but I felt like the blanket like covered my face too much, and it covered like all my face except for like half my eye. And then when I opened half my eye, it just felt like like how do I say, the space around me, like it was like stars, like it was a bunch of colors. It was like purple, green. It was just like spinning around like a crazy rave just
Yeah.
going on, and half my eye, I could only see it with half my eye, but I knew I was like, oh, this isn't real. Like,
Yeah.
this
You're like,
isn't
this isn't
happening.
actually happening. Um.
And the thing that woke me up was that I started sweating a lot, because the blanket did cover my face. I must have rolled over, and then the blanket just covered my face, and the sweat just eventually got into my eyes, and then that's when I woke up like rubbing my face, and I was like, oh god. That's why I don't sleep with my face under the covers anymore, because I think maybe my body thinks that I'm gonna have another like sleep paralysis episode or something.
Or something weird. Yeah, that's. I just don't like it because I don't like when I have the blanket over my face or if I'm sleeping under the sheets or something, and I can feel like the warmth from me breathing. If that makes sense, like my
Oh,
own
you mean your
hot
own breath
air.
coming back to
Yeah,
you?
yeah, my own breath, like just breathing back on me under the sheets like that. I do not like it at all. I'm like, I ain't sleeping like that. I don't like the
It's kind of
feeling. It
it's kind
freaks
of
me out.
think about it. You're like, it's kind of gross.
It is kind of gross, honestly, but like it just freaks me out in general. Um, and then, dude, did I ever tell you um about the time? So like owls. That's
Yes.
enough. Owls
Yeah,
are
dude.
like a creepy.
Lechuzas.
Yeah,
Nice.
they're a creepy ass thing. Like you don't mess with owls. And Danielle and I were. This was I think 2 years ago or something. We were walking at the park, and this little burrowing owl just like pops out of a hole right there next to the little trail we're walking on or the path we're walking on.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh no. I start getting all nervous. I'm like, oh no, 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 like we got to get out of here. And Danielle's like, oh my gosh, like an owl. And so she wants to take pictures. And then the parents pop up and they're like, like squawking at us, right? And I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, heck no, like let's get the hell out of here right now. I'm like, don't look at them, go. And she didn't believe my superstition. And I'm like, dude, it's a superstition in a lot of cultures, but like I remember in New Mexico growing up there, especially, it was a big thing. They're like, don't mess with owls. Like basically, they're witches. They're a type of skinwalker. Like just don't do it. It's bad,
Yeah,
bad
they're
vibes.
bad juju.
Yeah, it's gonna be bad luck. And I remember she took some pictures of the owls. I took a picture too from far away. And then for weeks after that, weeks at the house, because we had seen that at the park right in front of my old house, and we were on the walking path going around with one of the puppies when it happened.
Yeah.
And so for at least 2 weeks afterwards, Every single night, in the middle of the night, a coyote would come to the backyard. That was like a 6 or 7 foot wall, and it wouldn't come over the wall, but it sounded like it did. It sounded like it was right there, and it would be like yipping right there, and it only sounded like one. And I don't know, maybe it's because I had dogs, and it smelled that, and it was trying to kill little Benito or something. But really, I don't let my dogs out at that time unless it's an emergency, at night, like not one by
Yeah.
themselves, that's for sure. And I'll go out with them if I have to. But it would just start yipping at the back wall, and it would sound like it was in the backyard. And one day it sounded like it was so close. And then I opened the back door and I was gonna go out there and just see, and then I was like, ha, this is a trap. And my superstition got the best of me, dude, and I was like, coyotes aren't good either. And I just saw those owls 2 weeks ago. I knew we shouldn't have taken the pictures. There's some weird shit going on here. And after I realized that, and I didn't follow it outside that night, I had never heard it again. Isn't that
Huh.
freaking creepy?
It was like it was trying to bait you to like
To
be
go out
afraid
there?
of it. No,
Yeah,
just to be afraid of it, because that's what they want. They feed off the negative energy
yeah, they feed
from your
off of
fear.
fear. Yeah, and that I will not ever forget it because it was kind of almost the day that we saw them. I had told her like owls are witches, like this is not good. It's bad luck. We shouldn't do this. But then we stayed and took the pictures, and I was like, oh, it's just a superstition. It's all in my head. And then
Whatever, ain't nothing gonna happen.
yeah, and then I saw it. It was either the next day or the day after when I went out to the bus in the morning to go to work. It was just there. There was a little burrowing owl in the front yard, and I was like,
Oh,
heck no. Yeah, as soon as that happened, I'm like, you'll catch me praying real quick. When something like that happens, I'm like, hey God, me again. I know I haven't been here in 10 months, but guess what? Something scary happened, so I'm
it
back.
happened again.
Yeah. That's where I was at that day. And then that coyote stuff happened, and my roommate at the time believed that kind of stuff, and I had told him, I'm like, bro, this is what happened at the park the other day, and this is what's happening now. Like, this is a trick. This is not a coyote. Like, there's something weird. And I got super crazy about it too. Like, I got real freaked out. And like, still to this day, I remember it because it was a nightly routine for a couple weeks, of me to hear that and be like, it's back. Like, peeking out the blinds like a little weirdo, dude.
Thinking you were gonna see something, right?
Exactly. And then I kept thinking to myself, okay, what if I do open the blinds and there's just some dude or some monster or something standing there, or like the coyote's just like, what's good, like right there by the window. And so and my mind goes crazy thinking all those things. So I had like this whole plan mapped out. I'm like, all right, what do we do? And I didn't want to let my dogs out because I didn't want my dogs to get hurt. So no, that was a creepy time, and I definitely believe in that kind of stuff.
Miranda, have you ever heard about the Llorona?
Yeah. And hold
Everyone
on,
and their
sorry,
mom, right?
I almost choked on a piece of popcorn. Go ahead.
You're like, oh yeah,
Yeah, I like literally,
ha,
yeah, got all
ha,
scared and just like inhaled a piece, dude.
ha. No,
She
just
took me
kidding.
out. She took me out without trying.
Ha. That's all. Ha.
Okay, sorry. What were you saying about her?
Oh my God, random after asking you again.
Like, so anyway, what were you saying about her? And then you can go.
Well, for me, it was like a story my parents told me, so I would be afraid of the dark, and so I wouldn't go out at night. And every kid is rebellious. Every kid doesn't listen to their parents. And for me, I live directly behind a ditch.
Yeah.
But let me explain to you first who La Llorona is. Basically, she was apparently how do I say, like a type of siren. She has she's out at night near ditches near the lake, crying out for her kids that got murdered, but she murdered them.
Yeah,
So
she drowned them. That's
she
why she
drowned
fell in
them.
the water.
Okay, yeah, there you go. And for me, like I said, I live behind a ditch, and it was one of those nights where my curiosity just got the best of me. I was maybe like 11, 12. Oh no, I was much older. I was like 14, 15. So this is oh God, I just remembered it because we had the horses. I remember I was like 2 or 3 in the morning. I was like, I'm gonna go outside, I'm gonna stand like by the ditch in the dark. Like I had my little phone. Like my house is right there. I'll just jump the fence if anything.
Yeah.
And it was like the room. It was like the room got heavy, but I was outside. And then I live like right across the street. Like there's a service street like maybe like 50, 60 feet from my house. So you can hear the cars, like everything's loud. It's loud at night if you're outside, but you could also see the stars and stuff. And I remember it just got quiet, like it just got quiet, like the room got dark, if that makes sense. But I was outside, and then I just saw like a figure, and then I was like, oh god, it's right there. She's right there. And then it was almost like I could hear what she was saying, but she was saying, oh, you look like my kid, come here. And then I was like, no, and then I just booked it. But the whole time I was running back to my house, it felt like maybe she was at arm's length, but I could feel her, like she was trying to grab me. And if I stopped, I knew she would have grabbed me. But maybe what I was seeing, maybe it was something else. But just because I was messing with that stuff, it came.
And so I do remember all the legends very vividly, but I haven't had any experiences with it because I don't even get in the bath at night because of that psycho. I ain't trying to be kidnapped, man. Like that's scary.
A better way to describe her too would be like the Lady of the Lake, like those type of legends.
Yeah. No, and like the way you described it originally when you said like a siren, I mean that's basically what she is, right? I mean she can lure you in and then but sirens I think are a little like there is differences, but she would be kind of some form of it in a way. Like she lures you in with her voice and then boop, kidnapped. And she only does it to kids is a legend, right? She just takes kids to replace hers. But doesn't she kills you, doesn't she?
Yeah, she supposedly she drowns you.
Yeah, just like and I can't remember why she drowned her kids. Do you remember?
Mm-mm.
Oh, that's scary. I can't believe you
Just the
experienced that, dude. That is
Yeah.
so there is this show I used to watch when I was younger. Okay, I still watch it now, I'm not gonna lie. I've rewatched it a couple times. But it's called Teen Wolf. And they just came out with a movie actually. And there is a whole season of Teen Wolf based on the Ghost Riders, is what they called them. And so if you look up Ghost Riders, they're like the riders of, the night, the riders of the lightning and that kind of stuff. And there's a ton of different legends and myths and all this kind of stuff about them. And in different cultures and stuff, they're all going to be different. But the way that Teen Wolf portrayed it freaked me out. And I was in, let's see, like I didn't watch it live on TV. I watched it after the show had already completed. So I was probably what 20 or 21, and
Yeah.
it freaked me out like really bad. And I was living with Matthew at the time, our friend, and he watched a couple of the episodes with me, and I kept telling him like I'm real freaked out because it was of course during monsoon season in Arizona, right? And what the Ghost Riders do in Teen Wolf is that they are like riders of the night is what they would call them, and there would be like a storm and they would ride in on the lightning, these creepy dudes in like with permanent masks on. They would ride down on these black horses and they would take you. So they would take someone, but not only would they just kidnap you, they would take you to basically like limbo, like where you the in between type of thing into their own little like prison world basically. And the people that they took would be erased from existence. So everyone who loved you, every trace of your existence would just be wiped. So they take me, Jesus, you wake up tomorrow and you're like, yeah, I have a podcast, but it would just be the Weezus show, like it would just be like that. Every picture that I'm in with you guys, there would just be, I just wouldn't be there. And that's how they portrayed the Ghost Riders in this show. And I was so freaked out by the whole myth of it and just the whole story. For like 3 whole weeks, anytime lightning or a storm would happen, I would be up with the lights on. And I swear that was almost the end of mine and Matthew's friendship. He was like, "Go to sleep," because I'd be up in the middle of the night, like, "You still there, Matthew? You still there?" And in Teen Wolf, the ghostwriters would leave one clue behind to your existence. That's it. And some people like they might find it. It could be like and it wouldn't be like a picture of you. It would be an object, so something important that I gave you. So if I gave you a piece of jewelry or a shirt or something, you would find that shirt and be like, huh.
You'd find a Gundam for me.
Exactly. And like the memories would come back to you, and then you would have to try to convince everyone else, like, dude, there was this girl Miranda, like, we knew her, she was our best friend. That's what the ghostwriters do. And I do not know why that freaked me out so bad, but I still think about it all the time.
It's just
Like,
I feel like it's the concept of maybe being forgotten.
maybe like it's being forgotten, like completely just wiped from existence. Like, your animals don't even remember you. Like, what would happen? Like, the world changes so much if it just wipes you off the existence, the face of the earth, basically, and your animals don't even remember you. Like, who takes this over? And I don't know why it freaked me the hell out, though. And I just watched the Teen Wolf movie that just came out 2 weeks ago, and I watched that, and it brought all the memories back, and I was like, like PTSD. I'm like, I hope it doesn't rain tonight. And the ghostwriters weren't even in the movie, so that's the worst part. I'm just like, oh no. But no,
It
superstition.
like permanently scarred you.
It did, and I don't even know why. I'm gonna have to show you next time we hang out. I'll watch some of the scarier. Okay, it's not a scary show, but like some of the creepier episodes, like when they actually take people and where they take them to and stuff. Because yeah, it was an MTV show, kind of cheesy, but I mean, still the ideas that they give out on the show and like the monsters
It's
that
just
they bring on.
the concept was just scary.
Yeah, all of it. They do bring on like other scary monsters too, but I don't know why that one just sticks with me to this day.
Yeah, that's creepy as hell.
It is, dude. What do you think you've learned from all these paranormal experiences and just creepy stories?
That there's more out there than we know and that we understand, and we probably shouldn't mess with stuff that's out of our reach and or knowledge.
Yeah, dude, I totally agree. And on that note, guys, we're gonna call it quits for today. Thanks for tuning in to the Mimi and Weezy show.
And we out.
Yeehaw, brother.